Here we're given a equation on regression analysis. For you to get more of this, you need to subscribe to this channel. This has been given already. It says solve for the multiple linear regression. How do you go about this? We need to note something first. If you see, we have about 3 independent variables here. These are slope. These are coefficients are called the intercepts. While these are the independent variables, while the y here is the dependent variable. So from this, we see that y is equal to bx. So yi is equal to bixr. Solving this is quite simple, but before you solve it, you need to employ the matrix for you to solve this question. And for me to do that, it implies that we make this be our subject of formula, giving us x inverse of y from what we have written here. So we need to put the matrix form in this format for you to be able to complete this equation. How do we go about this? From this, we can take the sum of this first. We take the sum, which is summation of y t to be equal to b naught plus beta 1 x1 t plus beta 2 x2 t plus beta 3 x3 t. We can decide to leave the error term. This ut here is the error term, so we can decide to leave it because it means nothing. So all we need to do is to sum this. As we are taking the sum of this, we have to sum this, which will give us this sum will have to affect the whole of this as it has affected this. So we have this as n b naught plus, because if you sum the constant, you get n times that constant. So you get plus b1 x1t, summation of x1t plus b2 summation of x2t plus b3 summation of x3t. So we can take this as our equation star. We take this as our equation star. The next thing we do is to make this the subject of formula. That means we make this the subject of formula so that we'll be able to get b naught. If we make it the subject of formula, it means the whole of this will go over to this side. So we'll have summation of y minus this will go over b1 summation of x1t minus b2 summation of x2t minus b3 summation of x3t. So we can divide through by n so that we'll make this to stand alone, which is also an estimate. So you say divide through by n. If you divide through by n, you go back to this place, you get n b naught all over n is equal to summation of y all over n minus b1 summation of x1t all over n minus b2 summation of x2t all over n minus b3 summation of x3t all over n. That is what we get. So, of course, n will go over here. We'll have b naught will be equal to, this will give us mean of y. This will give us B1 X1T mean minus B2 X2T mean minus B3 X3T mean. We can also take this as our equation I. So that is what it will give you. So the next thing to do is to see how we put all of these things into a matrix format. So we start from equation star, which is this. We have summation of y to be equal to, this time we have to leave the whole of this because we've known what NB0 is. We've known the value of B0, which is this. It's not an estimate. So we can leave it and write B1 summation of X1T plus B2 summation of X2T plus B3 summation of X3T. So as easy as ABCD. All we need to do is to find the value of X. We use X1 to multiply the whole of this. If you use X1 to multiply the whole of this, you have summation of X1 y, which is equal to B1 summation of X1T squared plus B2 summation of X1 X2T plus B3 summation of X1 X3T. You can also choose to ignore the T. You come over to this side, X2. We have summation of X2y, which is equal to B1 summation of X1 X2, that is X1 to X2 plus B2 summation of X1 X2. You can decide to put the T, X2T squared plus B3 summation of X2 X3T. You come over to this place, you multiply 2 by X3. You have summation of X3 y to be equal to B1 summation of X1T X3 plus B2 summation of X2T X3 plus B3 summation of X3T squared. So this is what we get. To get X1, X2, and X3, we have to put this in matrix form. So to get X1, X2, and X3, that means X1T, X2T, X3T. We put it in matrix form. So it will be very easy for me to solve. We put it in matrix form. How do we put it in matrix form? We go over to this place. We won't clean this because these values will aid us. It will really aid us. So putting it in matrix form is quite simple because we already know that we already said that if y is equal to bixi, it implies that b is equal to x inverse y. So we come here, the value, we first find the value of our y. The whole of this is y. So we write our y to be, you take everything here, summation of x1 y, summation of x2 y, summation of x3 y. We also take our value for b, this b, which is b1, b2, and b3. We also take our values for x. If you watch the whole of this, we are just taking this, which will give us summation of x1t squared, summation of x1, x2t, summation of x1, x3t. Here we come, summation of x1t, x2, summation of x2t squared. Here we have summation of x2, x3t. Here we have summation of x1t, x3. Here we have summation of x2t, x3, and the last one we have summation of x3t all squared. So we already have this. Since we know, we arrange this in this way. But before we do that, we have to impute the values that are given to us into this form. If we impute this whole value into this, we can now solve. It will give us something like this. We have succeeded in putting it into a matrix format, so we'll be having something like this. We have, say, our b, let's try this to make it easier for us, to be equal to x1t. We come here and look for x1 squared. x1t squared, that is x1. This is x2, x1 squared is 10. So x1 is 10, given already. x1, x2. Summation of x1, x2. x1, x2 is also 10. Summation of x1, x3. x1, x3 is 5. x1, x2, again, which is 10. x2 squared, x2 squared, which is 30. x2, x3, x2, x3, which is 10. We also have summation of x1, x3, x1, x3, which is 5. x1, x3 is 5. We have summation of x2, x3, which is 10. We have summation of x3 squared, which is 20. Like we said about this, it's equal to the inverse of y. Our y is here, x1y, x1y, which is 7. We also have x2y, which is minus 7. We also have x3y, x3y, which is 26. So that is it for B. If you want to solve for B, the next thing to do is to solve the inverse of this. And we also know that x inverse is equal to 1 all over the determinant of x. 1 all over the determinant of x multiplied by, in this case, we have, if this is x, we say x inverse all over the determinant of x multiplied by the value of y. Multiplied by the value of y. So this is what we solve for. It now takes us to matrix. We now find the determinant of this. Finding the determinant of this is quite simple. We just first find the determinant, which is 10. We take this. Remember, plus, minus, plus. 10, we have 30, 10, 10, 20. Minus 10 again. We have, we cut this, 10, 10, 5, 20. 10, 10, 5, 20. Plus 5, you have 10, 30, 5, 10. 10, 30, 5, 10. So this is what we'll get. The next thing to do is, alright, we still have this. Let's look for the determinant first. It means that x will be 10 times this will give us 600 minus 100. This is 10 times 20 will give us 200. 200 plus 5, 100 minus 150. So we'll still go to compute the determinants. This is equal to 10 times 600 minus 100 is 500, minus 10 times 200 minus 50 is 150, plus 5 times 100 minus this will give you minus 50. So we have x here to be, this times this will give us 5,000. This times this will give us 1,500. Because of this negative sign, 5 times this will give us 250. So 5,000 minus 15 minus 250 will get 3,450. So our determinant here will be this. So it means that, like we said, the determinant of x inverse is equal to 1 all over x bar. It means this is 1 all over 3,450. So it's very simple. If we have B to be x inverse of 1, we have that our beta will be the value for x. The value for x will have it as 1 all over 3,450. The value for y, we have it as we had before, 7 minus 7 and 26. So if you use this, you get something like 7 all over 3,450 minus 7 all over 3,450 and 26 all over 3,450. So this is what we have. It means finally our B will be 0.0020. If you divide this by this, The next one will be 0.0020, and 26 divided by this will give us 0.0075. So this is value for our B1, this is the value for our B2, and this is the value for our B3. So we can easily write the regression model. We could remember that B naught is y bar minus B1 x1 t minus B2 x2t minus B3 x3t. So we just carry the values for B1, B2, and B3, put inside here. That is just the simplest thing to do. So we have our B naught to be equal to y bar minus B1 is 0.0020 x, sorry, this is x bar, x1t bar minus b. Because of this negative sign, we have plus 0.0020 2t bar. The last one is minus 0.0075 x3t bar, and the value for our B1 will be 0.0020, B2 is minus 0.0020, and B3 is 0.0075. So this is our answer for the multilinear regression question that is given.